RuneScape's world of Gielinor is full of gods with different beliefs. My task in this video is to give you a general overview of all of the gods in RuneScape in order of their power. After this overview, leave me a comment describing which god you feel you like and which you feel you dislike. It will be intriguing for me to read which gods you feel are worthy of your support and which of those you would rather see destroyed. I'm the RuneScape Lorehound and welcome to Episode 2 of the Tales of Gielinor. Within RuneScape, there are a total of 7 Godhood tiers, with gods under Tier 1 being the most powerful. To begin this tale, we are going to discuss the Tier 1 gods, who are also known as the Elder Gods. I must warn you though, that this episode will contain spoilers about god-related quests in RuneScape, including the current fate of every one of RuneScape's gods, so please be aware of this. The Elder Gods are responsible for the creation of the universe and Gielinor itself. This RuneScape story is currently being expanded upon by Jagex, so some of this information could change, but I feel it is important to include these immensely powerful beings in this episode. Firstly, we have Jas, who is the elder goddess associated with progression and time, along with the sand and the air. Next, Full, the elder goddess of constancy and fire. She created the Elder Kiln and the Tokar race, and was sleeping under the Tsar city until being awakened during the quest Desperate Measures. Wen is the elder goddess who is related to the ice and cold, and was sleeping under White Wolf and Ice Mountain, while Bik is the elder goddess of the forests and plant life, and was believed to be sleeping under Entrana. They both awoke after the elder eggs were disturbed. Mother Ma is the final known elder god. She is the youngest and created the 2 gods called Serin and Zaros, as well as the Majorat tribe and the Muspah. Her sisters, as in Jas, Full, Bik and Wen, considered her a stillborn and left her in the world of Fenneske thinking her to be dead. She was actually alive, but certainly very weak. That is until the Children of Ma quest, where Serin, a Tier 2 god, thought it best to put her out of her misery. Ma had lived an agonising life. There have been some rumours and speculations of a 6th elder god, but we know very little information about her or him at this time. Tier 2 of the Godhood tiers are the Transcendent gods, who are able to manipulate life. There are 3 Transcendent gods, who are Zaros, the god of fate and control, as well as having a relation to the dark. Currently, Zaros is not favoured by lots of the other gods, and is regarded as self-serving by many. Then we have Serin, goddess of the elves, as well as having a relation to the light. The best way to describe Serin is that she means well, but sometimes makes illogical or uninformed decisions, which are not always in the best interest of others. Zaros and Serin are 2 opposites, or essentially brother and sister, who were created by the same elder god, Mother Ma. The last transcendent god was Guthix, who was the god of balance. He was murdered by the Majorat Sliske during the World Wakes quest. It is revealed that in later quests, Guthix knew Sliske was going to murder him, and could have stopped him if he had so wished, but did not do so in order to create an enchantment consisting of a perfect balance of shadow and normal anima, as Sliske was a master of the Shadow Realm. He could eventually gift this to the player, earning them the position of World Guardian, which makes the player untouchable by gods. This may seem complicated and overly specific at the moment, so don't worry too much about it. Just know from this that Guthix was an immensely powerful and modest being whose planning skills were exceptional. For any of you interested, Guthix was and remains my favourite god in RuneScape. Sadly though, Guthix's death means there are only 2 transcendent gods left, Zaros and Serin. High gods come in at Tier 3, with Saradomin, the god of order, Bandos, the god of war, who was killed after the Bird and the Beast world event in 2013 to 2014, in which he was slain by his nemesis, Armadil, the god of justice. The last known high god was Jododu Otoku, who is a long dead deity, slain by Bandos. Bandos ascended to godhood by killing Jododu Otoku. For those of you who don't know, any mortal being can ascend to godhood, but to do this they have to gain an immense source of power very quickly from something or someone, so maybe from a powerful artifact like the Stone of Jas, or by slaying another god. Only one High God remains as of today, that god being Saradomin. High Gods have the ability to destroy or construct land as large as a continent. Tier 4's place on this list are for Experienced gods, who are able to manipulate magic on a large scale, as well as open portals to other worlds. They are Armadil, the god of justice, Zamorak, the god of chaos and power, as well as personal ambitions and change, Skargaroth, who is responsible for the death of Guthix's species, the Naragi, and was the god that Guthix killed to ascend to godhood, which is told to the player during the World Wakes quest by Guthix himself. Saradomin used to be classed as an experienced god before the Battle of Lumbridge, in which he took on his nemesis, Zamorak, in a fight to gain divine energy, which was released as a result of Guthix's death. Saradomin won this battle, becoming powerful enough to ascend to the status of a high god. Bandos also used to be an experienced god before the events of the Chosen Commander quest, in which he rose up a tier of godhood. Despite this gain in power, he was still killed by Armadil, as we spoke about earlier. Finally, Tuska was an experienced god who we mentioned briefly in the last episode. She was a boar-like goddess who was nicknamed the World Eater, and is described as a mindless beast that managed to attain godhood. She met her demise at the hands of Gielinor's defenders and Vorago before she could devour Gielinor. Vorago is an ancient being created by Anima Mundi, which is the life force that exists within all things in Gielinor. Vorago is assumingly a supporter of Guthix and defends Gielinor from any god taking advantage of it, hence why he killed Tuska. As mentioned in the previous video, Tuska's corpse remains crashed west of the Caridian Desert. Inexperienced gods are at tier 5 of the godhood tiers. Tier 5 gods have greater magical skills and strength than mortals. They consist of Tumakun, the god of light and the sun, and Lidinis, goddess of fertility and growth. These two gods are the most powerful of the Menethite pantheon, a name given to the octet or 8 deities who rule the Caridian lands. Further inexperienced gods are Marimbo, goddess of the monkeys, Brassica Prime, god of the cabbages, and V, god of the Fremenix and the Moon Clan tribe, which are the settlers found mostly in Relica and the Lunar Isle. V was sadly killed in the quest Heroes Welcome by the Dragonkin Sakurth. Zamorak used to be an inexperienced god after being defeated by Saradomin during the Battle of Lumbridge. However, gained power from the Stone of Jas during the Dishonour Among Thieves quest, which allowed him to ascend to be a tier 4 god. The final being who could be considered an inexperienced god was Gielinor. Don't be confused by the name, this Gielinor is not referring to the world of RuneScape, but rather an accumulation of many dead souls taken from the world of Gielinor. A sorcerer called Nomad began channeling souls of the dead into this being during the Nomad's Elegy quest, which ends up being exterminated by either Harald Death, who is not considered a god, or Ichlarin, who is a demigod. Who kills his creation depends on the player's choice. Demigods are at tier 6, which are sons or daughters of gods. There are 3 known demigods. One of them is Ichlarin, the god of the underworld, who is the son of Tumakun, the god of light, and Lidinis, the goddess of fertility, both of which we mentioned earlier. Ichlarin is responsible for transporting souls to the afterlife, and works closely with Harald Death. Bear in mind though that Death is not a god. However, another demigod is Amaskut, the goddess of rebirth, who is the daughter of Tumakun and Lidinis. Amaskut once had a key duty like Ichlarin. Harald Death would take souls to the underworld, Ichlarin would transport those souls through the underworld, and it was Amaskut's job to reincarnate those who wanted to be in a new body. Unfortunately, Amaskut went crazy at some point during the Second Age and abandoned this post, leaving it to Ichlarin. She is the main antagonist of the Desert Quest series and is quite honestly a bit of a psychopath. Ichlarin and Amaskut are 2 of the gods who are a part of the Menethite pantheon, joining their mother and father, Tumakun and Lidinis. The third and final demigod is TzKal-Zuk, who is a warlord leading the Zekar front in the Elder God Wars dungeon. A being of immense power who faced the Elder Kiln battles and won, he resided with the TzKal for centuries, learning much about their fighting styles, and became as powerful as he is today through his sheer determination and willpower. Finally, Tier 7 is given to avatars and aspects. These are still considered gods, but are very weak compared to the gods I've already mentioned. They consist of the remaining 4 half-gods from the Menethite pantheon, who are Het, the god of strength and health, Krondis, the goddess of resourcefulness, Apmenken, the goddess of friendship and pleasure, and Scabarus, the god of wisdom and isolation. The Duel Arena was built by Het's warriors during the Second Age in his honour, and has now become Het's Oasis after a mysterious earthquake. 2 avatars on this list are the Avatar of Creation and the Avatar of Destruction, who are also created by the sorcerer Nomad, who we discussed earlier. These were defeated by the player during the Nomad's Requiem quest. Finally, the Avatar of a Mascot was featured as part of the 2015 Halloween event, which threatened to break open the doors of the underworld. This was most likely created by a mascot as one of her crazy ideas. There are some notable former Tier 7 gods, which are the Dark Lord, before his death at the end of the Plague's End quest, as well as Bandos his avatar, before he is killed by the player as a final boss during the Chosen Commander quest. And that brings us to the end of the list. After covering all of the gods of RuneScape, I should remind you that a Tier 1 god, or an Elder god like Jas, is the most powerful, and a Tier 7 god like Het is the weakest. The order of power goes down from Tier 1 to Tier 7. Sometimes gods can ascend a tier, for example when Saradomin went from an experienced god to a high god after defeating Zamorak at the Battle of Lumbridge and siphoning the powerful divine energy. Many thanks for watching this Tale of Gielinor, and I hope you learnt something about RuneScape's many gods. I have tried to describe the gods in a way that makes the knowledge accessible for even the most novice lorehound, although it can be quite difficult to do this at times due to so many different overlapping storylines. If you have any questions about anything covered in this video which you are not sure about, please leave me a question in the comments. As always, please leave suggestions for what Tale of Gielinor you want me to tell next. And do also let me know about which gods you like the sound of and which of those you don't. Take care everybody, and see you in the next episode.